The moment you stop forcing life, everything changes. You stop chasing people who already decided to leave. You stop begging for opportunities that destroy your peace. You stop trying to control things that were never in your hands. And strangely, that's when life starts working for you. Most people spend their entire lives fighting reality. Fighting delays. Fighting rejection. Fighting silence. Fighting pain. But the Stoics understood something most people never learn. What you force, eventually breaks you. What you accept, begins to transform you. If you're tired of overthinking, tired of chasing validation, tired of trying to make everything work, then stay until the end of this video. Because these 7 Stoic lessons will completely change the way you see life. And before we begin, subscribe to the channel. Because this channel exists to make your mind stronger, calmer, and harder to destroy. Now listen carefully. Lesson 1. Stop forcing people to understand you. One of the fastest ways to destroy your peace is trying to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Not everyone will see your value. Not everyone will appreciate your intentions. Not everyone will support your growth. And that is completely normal. The Stoics believe that your reputation is not fully under your control. Only your actions are. Yet millions of people wake up every day trying to manage how others perceive them. They over-explain, over-prove, over-give, over-sacrifice. All because they fear rejection. But here is the truth. The more you chase acceptance, the more you lose yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you should never depend on the applause of others for inner peace. Because people are unstable. Their opinions change daily. One day they praise you. The next day they criticize you. If your confidence depends on them, your emotions will always be unstable. Think about how much energy you waste trying to convince people. Trying to prove your worth. Trying to show people you are good enough. Trying to defend every decision. Trying to make everyone happy. It never ends. And even after all that effort, some people will still dislike you. Not because you failed, but because they already made up their minds. Stoicism teaches something powerful. You do not need universal approval to live a meaningful life. Read that again inside your mind. You do not need universal approval to live a meaningful life. The moment you understand this, you become dangerous. Because now your peace is no longer controlled by opinions. You stop performing. You stop pretending. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into places you've outgrown. You become free. Most suffering comes from resistance. Resistance to reality. Resistance to people's true nature. Resistance to outcomes you cannot control. The Stoics accepted reality instead of fighting it emotionally. This doesn't mean becoming weak. It means becoming wise. If someone refuses to see your value, let them. If someone constantly disrespects you, walk away. If someone misunderstands you, stay calm. Your peace is too expensive to trade for endless explanations. Strong people do not force understanding. They let their life speak. Silence is often more powerful than defense. And confidence becomes visible when you stop seeking permission to exist. Lesson 2. Stop forcing relationships. This lesson alone can save years of emotional pain. Some people enter your life for a season. Not forever. But many people refuse to accept this. So they force conversations. Force emotional connections. Force loyalty. Force friendships. Force love. And in the process, they lose themselves completely. Stoicism teaches detachment from things outside your control, including people. You cannot control another person's feelings. You cannot control their loyalty. You cannot control their honesty. You cannot control whether they stay or leave. And the more you try to force it, the more painful it becomes. Look carefully at your life. How many times did you exhaust yourself trying to save a relationship that was already broken? How many times did you ignore disrespect because you feared loneliness? How many times did you beg for the bare minimum? Most people stay attached to suffering because they fear endings. But endings are natural. The Stoics understood that life itself is temporary. Everything changes. People change. Emotions change. Circumstances change. Trying to freeze life into permanence creates misery. A relationship should feel natural. Not forced. Peaceful. Not exhausting. Mutual. Not one-sided. When someone truly values you, consistency becomes effortless. You won't constantly question where you stand. You won't always feel anxious. You won't feel emotionally drained every single day. Stop romanticizing struggle. Not every difficult relationship is meant to be saved. Sometimes the lesson is learning when to leave. And leaving does not make you cold. It makes you self-aware. There is strength in letting go. There is power in emotional discipline. There is freedom in accepting what reality is showing you. The Stoics believe that attachment without wisdom leads to suffering. That is why emotionally strong people do not cling desperately. They appreciate people while they are present. But they also accept when life moves in a different direction. You must learn this. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. And not everyone who leaves is a loss. Sometimes their departure protects your future. Sometimes their absence restores your peace. Sometimes losing them helps you find yourself again. Do not force what naturally falls apart. Because what belongs in your life will not require you to destroy your dignity to keep it. Lesson 3. Stop forcing success to happen overnight. This generation is impatient. Everyone wants immediate results. Immediate money. Immediate recognition. Immediate transformation. But nature does not work that way. A tree does not become massive in one night. Strength takes time. Wisdom takes time. Discipline takes time. The Stoics understood patience better than most people alive today. They knew that meaningful growth happens slowly. Quietly. Painfully. Yet consistently. Most people quit too early because they confuse slow progress with failure. They start a business for 3 months and give up. They start improving themselves for 2 weeks and stop. They go to the gym for 1 month and expect perfection. They plant seeds and become angry because the harvest hasn't arrived instantly. But life rewards consistency. Not emotional impatience. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to focus on the process. Not obsession with results. Because results are not fully under your control. But effort is. Discipline is. Character is. Your daily actions shape your future more than motivation ever will. Stop rushing your life because of social media. People online only show highlights. They hide the years of struggle. The failures. The loneliness. The confusion. The sacrifices. You are comparing your beginning to someone else's edited outcome. And it's destroying your peace. Real success is boring sometimes. It requires repetition. Sacrifice. Consistency. Delayed gratification. The ability to keep going even when nobody claps for you. That is Stoic strength. To remain disciplined without immediate reward. To continue building when results are invisible. To trust the process without emotional panic. Do not force your timeline. Your life is not late. You are not behind. You are simply growing at your own pace. And some of the strongest people bloom slowly because life is preparing them properly. Lesson 4. Stop forcing control over everything. This lesson changes your entire mindset. Most anxiety comes from trying to control what cannot be controlled. The future. People. Outcomes. Opinions. Unexpected events. Life becomes exhausting when you fight uncertainty every day. The Stoics divided life into two categories. Things you control. And things you do not. That single idea can save your mental health. You control your choices. Your mindset. Your actions. Your discipline. Your attitude. But you do not control external events. And when you confuse the two, suffering begins. Think about how much stress comes from obsession over outcomes. You send a message and panic over the reply. You start a project and obsess over success. You help someone and expect loyalty. You work hard and demand instant rewards. But life does not always obey your plans. And that is okay. Stoicism is not about controlling life. It is about controlling yourself within life. That is true power. Anyone can remain calm when life is easy. But can you remain steady when life becomes uncertain? Can you stay disciplined when emotions become chaotic? Can you stay calm when things don't go your way? That is where mental strength is revealed. The Stoics practiced acceptance. Not passive weakness. But intelligent acceptance. They focused energy only where action was possible. And released attachment where control ended. You should do the same. Stop trying to control every outcome. Do your best. Act wisely. Remain disciplined. Then let life unfold. Peace begins where excessive control ends. Lesson 5. Stop forcing yourself to be liked by everyone. This is one of the biggest traps in modern society. People become addicted to validation. They shape their personality around acceptance. They fear criticism more than failure. They hide their true thoughts. Their true goals. Their true identity. All to avoid judgment. But the Stoics knew something important. If you live for approval, you will die by rejection. No matter how good you are, someone will dislike you. No matter how kind you are, someone will criticize you. No matter how successful you become, someone will envy you. That is human nature. Trying to avoid criticism completely is impossible. And the more you fear judgment, the more powerless you become. Strong people are not fearless because nobody criticizes them. They are fearless because criticism no longer controls their identity. You cannot build an authentic life while constantly performing for others. At some point, you must decide. Do you want peace? Or endless approval? Because you rarely get both. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that people act according to their own perceptions. meaning criticism often reflects them more than you. Once you understand this, emotional freedom begins. You stop taking every opinion personally. You stop shrinking yourself. You stop abandoning your purpose to make people comfortable. And your confidence becomes quieter. More stable. More real. Not arrogance. Inner certainty. That is the difference. Stop forcing yourself into masks just to be accepted. The right people will respect the real version of you. And those who reject authenticity were never your people anyway. Lesson 6. Stop forcing happiness. This sounds strange at first. But most people sabotage happiness because they chase it desperately. They believe happiness only exists after achievement. After money. After status. After relationships. After success. So they postpone peace. They delay joy. They live emotionally dependent on future conditions. The Stoics rejected this mindset completely. They believed peace comes from perspective. Not possessions. Not circumstances. Not external validation. You can have wealth and still feel empty. You can have fame and still feel miserable. You can achieve goals and still feel anxious. Because inner chaos cannot be solved by external rewards. Real peace starts inside. With gratitude. Presence. Self-control. Awareness. Most people are too distracted to enjoy life. Always chasing. Always comparing. Always wanting more. And because of that, they never feel complete. Stoicism teaches appreciation for the present moment. Not because life is perfect. But because life is temporary. One day everything changes. One day this moment disappears forever. The people you love. The opportunities you have. The body you live in. The time you waste. None of it lasts forever. That realization creates gratitude. And gratitude creates peace. Stop waiting for life to become perfect before allowing yourself to feel alive. There will always be another problem. Another challenge. Another obstacle. Peace is not the absence of difficulty. It is the ability to remain grounded within difficulty. Lesson 7. Stop forcing life to match your plans. This final lesson changes everything. Life will surprise you. Sometimes painfully. Sometimes beautifully. But rarely exactly how you imagined. Most people suffer because they become emotionally attached to specific expectations. They believe life must follow their script. Their timing. Their desires. Their plans. And when reality changes, they collapse emotionally. But Stoicism teaches flexibility. Adaptability. Resilience. The ability to remain steady despite uncertainty. You may lose opportunities. You may experience betrayal. You may fail unexpectedly. You may face delays that make no sense. But none of these things have the power to destroy you unless you mentally surrender first. The Stoics believed obstacles are part of life. Not interruptions to life. Every challenge becomes training. Every setback becomes wisdom. Every painful experience becomes an opportunity for growth. That mindset changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this teaching me?" That single shift creates strength. Because now pain becomes preparation. Failure becomes education. Difficulty becomes discipline. Life stops feeling like punishment and starts becoming transformation. Do not force life into your expectations. Some doors close to redirect you. Some delays protect you. Some endings prepare you for a better future. Trust the process of growth, even when you cannot fully understand it yet. And remember this: the strongest people are not the ones who control everything. They are the ones who remain calm when they cannot. Stop forcing yourself to be understood by everyone. This lesson can completely change your emotional life. One of the biggest reasons people lose peace is because they desperately want everyone to understand them. They explain themselves repeatedly. Defend every decision. Seek approval constantly. Try to convince people of their intentions. And after all that effort, they still feel unseen. The Stoics understood something painful but freeing. Not everyone will understand you. And not everyone is supposed to. Some people only understand life through their own experiences, their own fears, their own limitations. Which means many people judge you based on their perspective, not your reality. And once you realize this, you stop exhausting yourself trying to manage every opinion. Think carefully about how much energy people waste trying to control perception. Trying to look successful. Trying to appear perfect. Trying to avoid criticism. Trying to make everyone comfortable. But no matter what you do, somebody will misunderstand you anyway. That is life. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself not to become distracted by public opinion. Because public opinion changes constantly. People praise you today. Ignore you tomorrow. Criticize you the next day. If your identity depends on external approval, your emotions will never remain stable. That is why emotionally mature people stop performing for attention. They stop over-explaining themselves. They stop chasing validation. And they become more peaceful because of it. Many people secretly live in emotional prison because they fear judgment too much. They silence their true thoughts. Hide their ambitions. Suppress their personality. All because they want acceptance. But the cost of constant approval seeking is self-betrayal. You slowly abandon who you truly are just to fit inside other people's expectations. Stoicism rejects this completely. The Stoics believed virtue matters more than popularity. Character matters more than image. Truth matters more than approval. And this mindset creates freedom. Because once you stop needing universal acceptance, you stop fearing rejection. And once rejection stops controlling you, your confidence becomes real. Not fake confidence built on attention. Real confidence built on self-respect. You begin speaking differently. Walking differently. Thinking differently. Because your identity no longer depends on applause. Most people are emotionally manipulated by opinions. One insult ruins their day. One criticism destroys their confidence. One rejection makes them question their worth. But Stoicism teaches emotional independence. Not arrogance. Not coldness. Independence. The ability to remain grounded regardless of external reactions. That is powerful. Because now your peace belongs to you. Not strangers. Not society. Not temporary opinions. And understand this clearly. People often project their insecurities onto others. Weak people criticize discipline because it exposes their lack of discipline. Insecure people attack confidence because it reminds them of their own fear. Negative people attack ambition because they abandoned their own dreams long ago. Once you understand projection, criticism loses much of its emotional power. You stop taking everything personally. You stop shrinking yourself. You stop abandoning your purpose because somebody disapproves. And your mind becomes quieter, calmer, stronger. That is why emotionally disciplined people do not react to everything. They understand that not every opinion deserves emotional access to their mind. Protect your peace carefully. Not everybody deserves explanations. Not everybody deserves access to your energy. And not everybody deserves influence over your self-worth. Learn to live truthfully even when misunderstood. Because authenticity creates inner peace. And inner peace is more valuable than temporary approval. Subscribe to the channel. Because this channel is for people building mental discipline, emotional strength, and a mind that refuses to break under pressure. Lesson 5. Stop forcing happiness through external things. Most people spend their entire lives chasing happiness incorrectly. They believe happiness exists somewhere outside themselves. In money. In relationships. In achievements. In status. In attention. So they spend years chasing external rewards hoping peace will finally arrive. But even after obtaining many of these things, they still feel empty. Because external success cannot permanently fix internal instability. The Stoics understood this deeply. That is why they focused more on mastering the mind than mastering appearances. Look carefully at modern society. People constantly say, "I will finally be happy when I become successful. When I make more money. When I find the perfect relationship. When I buy the house. When I gain recognition. When life becomes easier." But this mindset creates endless emotional postponement. Because happiness becomes dependent on future conditions. And the future never arrives exactly the way people expect. So peace keeps getting delayed. Year after year. The Stoics believed happiness comes from alignment with reality. From gratitude. From self-control. From perspective. Not from endless consumption. Modern culture teaches people to constantly want more. More money. More validation. More possessions. More attention. More status. And because desire never ends, peace never arrives. The mind becomes addicted to chasing. But Stoicism teaches contentment without laziness. This does not mean abandoning ambition. It means learning how to remain internally stable while pursuing goals. That is the difference. You can build success without emotionally depending on success for self-worth. You can pursue growth without destroying your peace in the process. Most people cannot do this. Because they attach their entire identity to outcomes. If they fail, they feel worthless. If they lose attention, they feel invisible. If relationships end, they feel broken. But Stoicism teaches you to separate identity from circumstance. You are more than temporary outcomes. More than temporary failures. More than temporary emotions. And once you realize this, life becomes lighter. You stop placing impossible pressure on external things to emotionally complete you. You begin appreciating small moments. Simple conversations. Quiet mornings. Peaceful solitude. Your health. Your breath. Your time. And gratitude changes your entire mental state. Because grateful people suffer differently. They still experience pain. But they do not become consumed by bitterness. Many people are unhappy not because life is terrible, but because comparison has poisoned their perspective. Social media constantly convinces people they are behind. Behind financially. Behind socially. Behind physically. Behind emotionally. And comparison quietly destroys gratitude. The Stoics warned against this long before technology existed. Because comparison disconnects people from the present moment. And peace only exists in the present. Not in constant measurement against others. Think carefully. How much of your stress comes from comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel? How much peace have you sacrificed trying to appear successful? How much joy have you ignored because you were obsessed with what you lacked? Stoicism teaches appreciation for what already exists. Not because life is perfect, but because life is temporary. Everything changes eventually. Your youth changes. Your circumstances change. People change. Time changes everything. And once you deeply understand impermanence, gratitude becomes natural. You stop taking ordinary moments for granted. You stop living endlessly dissatisfied. You stop postponing joy. Because you realize life itself is fragile. That realization creates wisdom. And wisdom creates peace. Lesson 6. Stop forcing revenge. This lesson separates emotionally weak people from emotionally disciplined people. When people hurt you, the natural impulse is revenge. To hurt them back. Embarrass them. Expose them. Destroy them emotionally. Most people become consumed by anger after betrayal. Consumed by bitterness after disrespect. Consumed by hatred after disappointment. And eventually that anger begins destroying them from the inside. The Stoics warned against this. Because anger often punishes the person holding it more than the target itself. Think carefully about how many people lose years of peace replaying pain repeatedly in their minds. They relive betrayal daily. Relive humiliation daily. Relive arguments daily. And the person who hurt them often continues living normally while they remain mentally trapped. That is emotional slavery. Stoicism teaches emotional control during pain. Not because betrayal does not hurt, but because uncontrolled anger destroys clarity. And without clarity, people make destructive decisions. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that people act according to their level of awareness. Some people are immature. Some are selfish. Some are dishonest. Some are lost internally. Understanding this does not excuse harmful behavior. But it prevents hatred from consuming your mind completely. One of the strongest things a person can do is move forward without becoming poisoned by resentment. That is difficult. But powerful. Weak people seek revenge constantly. Strong people seek peace. Because peace protects the future. Revenge keeps you emotionally connected to the past. And many people destroy their future because they cannot release old pain. Stoicism teaches acceptance of human imperfection. People will disappoint you. Lie to you. Betray you. Judge you unfairly. That is part of life. But your response determines whether pain becomes wisdom or poison. Some people become bitter after suffering. Others become wiser. The difference is mindset. Emotionally disciplined people refuse to let pain turn them into monsters. They learn. Adjust. Protect themselves better. But they do not surrender their entire identity to hatred. Because hatred eventually destroys the person carrying it. And understand this clearly. Nothing frustrates toxic people more than seeing you heal peacefully. Not begging. Not collapsing. Not seeking revenge. Just improving your life quietly. That level of emotional discipline is rare. And deeply powerful. So stop forcing revenge. Stop feeding bitterness daily. Stop reopening wounds mentally. Your future deserves more attention than your past pain. Protect your peace. Protect your energy. Protect your mind. Because a peaceful mind is one of the greatest forms of wealth a human being can possess. And if this message speaks to you, subscribe to the channel. Because this channel exists for people who want stronger minds, deeper discipline, and emotional control in a chaotic world.